All right, welcome back to part two of our goal setting series here for 2025. If you've not watched part one, please go and do that. We talk about kind of the three best principles for goal setting. And in this video, we'll talk about Zoe, a fake mock client. And we'll use Zoe here as an example for how we can apply those principles. And again, more important, think about kind of a long-term vision. And this is important because I want people to kind of think about doing this as they start their year. Things can always change, don't get me wrong, but I do think it's nice to have kind of a base case scenario for your year. So let's understand who Zoe is, her goals, some big events before we dive in here. So Zoe is a fake person again, but 5'3", 155 pounds, 23% body fat. And she tells us that her goals, priority number one, is to decrease body fat roughly as 135 as a target. Priority number two, improve all aspects of her hybrid training. She lifts, she runs, does yoga. So she wants to really improve all of those things. And I do think it's kind of important as a heuristic in your head to think about ordering your goals a little bit too, because at some point they will conflict one another. Sometimes they won't, but a lot of times you do have to kind of like pick which is more important. That doesn't mean you can't make progress on both of them, but ultimately if you had to choose, you're going to get better at this at the cost of that. Which one would you put over the other? So I do like people to prioritize that. What's the main priority, at least during a certain window of time? So we think about that from a 1 and 2 perspective. And then for big events in her year, she is getting married in April and has a family vacation in August. So we talked about, again, in part one of the video, being able to have some timestamps in your year can be very critical to help you stay focused and help you to understand kind of how long it may take to get to your goal. So we will start off her journey here now in January. Again, she is currently 155. This bubble here that we have in these annual spreadsheets, we can change these from fat loss, muscle gain, exercise performance, etc. This other bubble here is like her overall eating style. Effectively, how strict do we recommend her being given that time of the year? So it says super strict, semi-tracked, proteins and weigh-ins, habits and weigh-ins only. And we have more details what we mean by each of these here. But for all intents and purposes, I think you kind of understand big picture what that could mean. From 1 to 10, how strict does she need to be in that month? All right. So, and this final thing here would be based upon the month where we anticipate her body weight being at the end. So this would be like January 1st, and this would be the end of January. So she's going to start off here, and the first 3 months of the year are pretty simple. She's trying to lose about 2 to 4 pounds a month with her goal, ultimately losing about 20 in the year. We can see if she can do that. Again, it's not just lose weight as fast as possible because it needs to feel sustainable. So what I don't want to have happen is, okay, I'm getting married in April, as we talked about, and I want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months. Can you do that? Maybe, but it's really hard for someone to go from 155 to 135. And if they do that, there's a great chance they're going to get burnt out halfway throughout the year. So we set a more sustainable goal, and this would kind of be the projection of what's going to happen. Now, this C column here, we would fill out throughout the year of what actually happened, but let's kind of just role play it through. So let's say she has a good month. February, she loses 3 pounds. January, she loses 3 pounds. She's 152. Same thing in February, loses 3 pounds. She's 149. And then in April, we say, okay, you wake up mid-April, you're 147. You get married and you have your honeymoon. But I want to put a whole bunch of pressure on you to like lose weight from a net perspective in that month, because maybe the week before the wedding's kind of crazy. You have your wedding, maybe you take a 2-week honeymoon, and that's most of the month, if we're being honest. So it may be a little bit unrealistic to expect her to be 142 come May. So we say, hey, you lost at this point, 8 pounds since you started. Go enjoy your wedding, have some fun, be mindful, come back, and we have more work to do. But in April, don't put so much pressure on yourself. And that's kind of the idea too. We would have this discussion of we're just going to focus on habits and weigh in, right? Eat a lot of protein, eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, step on the scale 4 days a week, but maybe you don't have to even track your food for the month of April, and that's okay. So this is almost like phase one of her goal. And she didn't get to 135. We probably would mock out this entire year for her and say, hey, you're not going to get to 135 by your wedding, but that's okay, right? So then we have she enjoys the honeymoon, comes back, maybe she gains some weight, maybe she maintains it. We have her May 1st at exactly 147, what she was around April. And now we're back in it, back to strict tracking, back to fat loss, back to working towards that 135. So she, again, loses 3 pounds here, loses 2 pounds here, and she has that family vacation coming up in August. Similar story. Go on vacation for 8 days with your parents. Enjoy it. You're in the Caribbean. You're in Florida. Do whatever you want. I don't need people to be dieting during their vacation and their honeymoon. Even if your year is a whole bunch of fat loss, as you see visually, you have plenty of weeks and months to get on track. Your trip to Florida doesn't need to be one of those, in my opinion. So very similar story to August. She just maintains her weight there. She's really close to her goal body weight. Enjoy yourself. Come back September, 141. All right, we're really in shooting range now of that 135. And guess what? We have the holidays coming up. So last little push here, 141, 138, 136, 135 going into the winter holidays. And she reached her goal. She lost 20 pounds in the year, and she didn't have to worry a ton about being on track in her wedding. She didn't have to worry about tracking her macros on family vacation. She didn't have to worry about tracking her macros on Thanksgiving, right? She was able to do all of that because the rest of her year was so locked in. And one of the purposes of having your goals set and being able to kind of future proof, if you have a family vacation, you probably know when that's going to be. You definitely know when your wedding is going to be. It allows you to not freak out if you maybe think you're not on pace. Because if you have this whole thing mapped out of, if she wasn't getting married here and taking, 2 to 3 weeks off of a calorie deficit, could she reach maybe her 20-pound loss goal in August? Yeah, probably. But that's not her lifestyle. It doesn't fit her lifestyle. This is going to happen. So we can't pretend like she has a great chance of losing 20 pounds by August when we know that ahead of time. So we can know we have really A, B in the way of the goal that allows us to have a proper amount of time to reach that goal and not feel like a failure because it didn't happen in August, right? We weren't expecting it to happen in August based upon the projections here. So when she goes on her family vacation and she steps on the scale at 142, she's not thinking, oh, I didn't get to the 130s. She's thinking, I lost 13 pounds and I'm really close to my goal. I'm going to enjoy myself and I'm going to come back and finish this damn goal off, right? That's what her mindset now is. And to really close the book on this, then she would have December here. We have her at, a maintenance month. Again, maybe she's doing a lot of travel, holidays, etc. We don't really have clients diet aggressively through this. If you lose some weight, cool. We're not going to force it. And maybe she comes back here in January of 2026 and she weighs 138 and she has to kind of work off a little bit of that in January and February. That's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to kind of have some of that lifestyle fluff, if you will, and come back and be more aggressive. But at that point, she'll probably have different goals going into 2026 of, hey, I reached my 20 pounds. Now what? Do I want to go to Orange Theory classes? Do I want to do a half marathon? Do I want to do a bodybuilding show? Do I want to, deadlift my body weight for 10 reps, right? We'll discuss kind of what's next for her. But hopefully this is a good example of big picture. This would be a client directionally trying to lose body fat that's her primary goal is aesthetics. She's obviously going to train and exercise during this time, but to lean out and really having three things to focus on, which would be her wedding midway through the year, family vacation towards the later half of the year, and then how do I lose 20 pounds with some of those, headwinds a little bit working against me a little bit to consider that in the context of her goal. And when you see this laid out, if you're someone like fake Zoe here, you can see how it would work, right? As long as these 3 months, these 3 months, and these 3 months, we're on track. The other, those 9 months were on track. Then the other three can be pretty flexible, and it doesn't prevent you from reaching your goal, whatsoever. So that is case study number one here. Next video, we'll talk about Adam, a little bit different goal, so we can provide some more context on more fat loss focus, more muscle gain focus. And the whole idea of this is just a spark some inspiration for you so you can apply it to your own goals for 2025.